Thank you very much, gentlemen. We are on Champion Select currently, but we will not do charades this time as we're not on camera. So into the picks and bans. Myself and Aiden giving you this one live. Talia and Xayah banned out along with that Zoe. So big power picks as we would expect here in Phase 1. FlyQuest, what is your second ban?
Well, Aurelia is quite powerful. There it is. Okay. The Xayah and Talia make a lot of sense. Talia's actually banned less and less on this patch as time goes on because she did receive some nerfs. Also, the jungler has to be good at that champion or somebody has to be able to flex into that role. Like, I think I saw a tweet earlier where it was like, I don't know which is funnier, watching marksmen play mages or watching junglers try to play Talia, because it's actually, regardless of what happens, it's going to be a show. And so Talia banned away here from 100 Thieves. The Xayah saw the last game, said, let's not do that. And the Dr. Mundo, which is very, very powerful. Aatrox also in that top lane, another big power pick. And with Trundle banned away, I think Sejuani jumps up, and Nocturne, another premier jungler.
Yep. As well, this could be a third play in a row of Xin Zhao for Santorin, as this would also be the third red side game. So they may just go with that if junglers are being taken away, or that's the 1-2 pick they'll focus on. We see the Nocturne being locked in. What does FlyQuest take? They are hovering a bit of the bot lane. Turtle's been on Swain and Braum. It might be a Xayah Rakan this game. They could go standard. Or more standard, I should say.
Yeah, going back to a classic here ever since she came out. The Xayah Rakan bottom lane is incredibly powerful. It gives WildTurtle some healing power, some lane presence, and means you're playing a bruiser into this. You kind of have to think twice because you're going to get pushed in early.
Right.
You're also going to kind of take a beating from both of these guys. And if you play a mage, you typically have less mobility and you're able to be caught by the Rakan. So this might mean Cody Sun gets to go back to playing a marksman.
Yep. Had a Lucian week 1, day 2 against CLG. Looks like he'll get Lucian here in his first game of week 2. Ryu now picking maybe for himself. We usually see mid lane rounding out here for the blue side, but no, it's gonna be Aatrox Ssumday.
Yeah,
gets himself a pick in the first phase.
Was thinking the Aatrox or possibly the Ornn there for 100 Thieves in that pick, but the Aatrox makes a lot of sense with Dr. Mundo, Trundle taken away on top of that. And so now top lane, Ornn kind of jumps up in terms of priority. Camille for the jungle and the flex pickable here for the top lane on top of it. But I don't think it does incredibly well into Aatrox. Aatrox really does devastates most opponents in the top lane.
Could be Santorin's. Meteos did take that to the jungle during his first week.
This is also really good to see from 100 Thieves. They've been putting Ssumday on more carries, but Rivington, the Singed, and now the Aatrox. So they've kind of gone through this trifecta of things that can really play through the top lane heavily and then help the rest of the team. The Lucian was what Cody Sun played as well last week. They didn't get their win against CLG, but 100 Thieves are now back on a marksman. They have Meteos on this jungler that can affect lanes very heavily post level 6. And this is something you want to see from 100 Thieves if you're a fan.
Maybe he'll just build a total damage Nocturne and saw him do at the end of the season that one time.
I mean, it's really great to build Nocturne with damage right now.
Overall, yeah, right? It's just what should happen. Alistar Leona as they hit Aphromoo a few more times, saying that engage is not something we want to have to deal with, or at least tone it down a bit, brother.
Yeah, the things
What's the final ban here from 100 Thieves?
The things that go well into the Xayah, the Leona, which can lock her down before she ulties, and also the Alistar was a pretty good laner. Thresh is another one that you would have to worry about here if you wanted to pull that out. And the Malphite, you asked me what this last ban was going to be. I never would have guessed it was going to be a Malphite. I never would have guessed that.
I'm glad I didn't ask then. Put you in a rough spot, Zirene.
Yeah, but the question is,
not what friends do.
100 Thieves, they're banning the Malphite. They must know something that we don't, right? May have been something that showed up in scrims, because the Ornn also, like I had said after the Aatrox was taken away, is kind of the go-to top laner here.
I'm interested in how the fight sorts out.
Yeah, but the thing is the Malphite is really good against the Aatrox, because all he does is really basic attack. His Q will close the distance.
That's a good point. Okay.
Then his E, the Blade of Torment, will deal some damage, and people will max it second now a lot of the time, sometimes first for the wave clear. But the Malphite makes it so that in the middle of a fight, look at this composition, right? If you stack armor against these 3 champions that had already been locked in from 100 Thieves, yeah, that does make a lot of sense now. I've had more time to think about it.
Probably doesn't look a very confident face.
That's just his face, Riv.
Maybe. Aw.
You can't just say that about a man. But they are discussing what they want as their last pick here. The Braum plus Lucian is a great combo. And then the last pick for the mid lane, Lissandra.
Ooh. Very interesting. So hopefully being able to kind of traverse that distance with the Nocturne, lock somebody down, put him in that Glacial Tomb. We'll see if they can do it. Last pick here for FlyQuest, believing that Ornn's going top. Maybe Santorin gets a Camille for himself with Xayah, Rakan. But what does Keen take into the mid lane? We have seen the Lulu and the Gangplank. Maybe bringing the Swain pain this game.
Yeah, I actually like the Swain here because he can take a lot of the burst from the Lissandra. They both have similar wave clear. And it's funny because like the ultimate from the Lissandra, you really just want to get WildTurtle here. You want to get the Xayah before she can ulti and just stun lock her down. But you needed a good magic damage source here from the 100 Thieves composition because everything is physical aside from that.
It is interesting. I'm trying to think of the Xayah combo with the ultimate from Lissandra because you don't really have a cast time to figure out she's hitting you. She's there and it's an instant. So WildTurtle's gonna have to be fast with his fingers. We've seen that before from Professor Kobe. This guy flashes faster than a fastball, professional baseball. It's crazy. We're about to get onto the Rift here for another game in week 2. It's gonna be 100 Thieves versus FlyQuest. 100 Thieves, a 0-2 start to the split. Kind of topsy-turvy for these guys going so far in that spring. And a 0-2 FlyQuest. Both teams looking for a win as we get onto the Rift.
Bringing up records here, both teams 0-2 looking for that win. Look back at Ryu's career stats. Seems like he's 6-1 on Lissandra all time. So
that's nice.
I mean, this guy
that could do.
Kind of made a name for himself playing things like Ahri in the mid lane. Remember the Zed versus Faker was something that wasn't completely, you know, out of left field. It was about the Ahri, it was about the LeBlanc for this guy. And so playing a champion that's all about the pick is right up his alley.
It's like, how many times has he played Zed after that? Is it just one of those things you can't go back to? No memories there. Thank you. Next pick. 100 Thieves versus FlyQuest. As we spin around and we are on to the Rift. They are just itching to get out of the base right now. The gates are down. The players are running. Almost down. I'm jumping the gun. Let's see how they head out here. Cody Sun's going to take himself towards top side to start things off. He does have teleport, but they may try to get something funky going on to start things.
Yeah, teleport for both of the bottom laners, both the marksmen, top lane as well. And then Ryu has the TP to affect the side lanes, and so they have a lot of globals here for 100 Thieves. Playing the map was one of their strengths, and Flame goes all the way to the side there, and actually, ooh, not quite. But that's really good for Flame that he put it down then, and they weren't able to attack it right away. But he keeps that vision, makes sure that he doesn't get invaded on the top side there. But like I was saying, 100 Thieves, a lot of basic attacking will happen in this composition. The Braum will feed into that. And then they also have multiple globals. There's 3 teleports. There's 1 ultimate from Meteos on the Nocturne. And on FlyQuest side, Keen is kind of playing for the lane here. Has the cleanse to make sure that he's burst by the Lissandra with the ultimate that will come through. And then I'm watching Santorin on this Camille because the Camille jungle is actually one of my personal favorites right now because you can level 2 gank. You can also clear Raptors quite easily once you get your hook shot leveled up. So we'll see what he ends up doing here. But it's a solo jungle start for him on the top side, whereas Meteos is getting a leash on the bottom. But this allows your laners to show. And then right now on the bottom side of the map, both WildTurtle and Kwon are pushing the lane, trying to make sure that they can get the level 2 first and get the shove.
Pretty even for them. Too bad. Quick relics in will help Cody Sun somewhat even out the wave. As you can see, the numbers coming together now. They did have vision of what was going on, so they have a path on Meteos and an idea of where Santorin is going to start things off. FlyQuest with the 3 stopwatches. Definitely possible plays coming up on that 8-minute mark we'll be watching for.
Let's see if they go a little crazy there.
Nice aggression. Bot lane pushing forward, knowing they have just a little bit. They're like, we have a bigger wave. You can't fight us. And you're at that 70% push mark, so they can continue to pressure ever so slowly, letting it inch under the turret. Cody's son pulling his hair out right now. He's like, just give me the minions. Okay, farm them up. Shouldn't be too hard now. Santorin on his scuttles, as we'll see that from the same, or from Meteos on the same thing.
Yeah, something I think is actually underappreciated is level 1 warding into the level 2 duration of the turret, or the trinket, because a lot of times in solo queue, people don't ward the sides of mid at the very beginning of the game. What happened here is both teams actually, both of them warded both sides of the river.
Yep.
So it means if somebody goes for a level 2 Scuttle Crab or 1 camp into Scuttle or 2 camps into Scuttle, you'll see them, and then your jungler guarantees they get the opposite Scuttle Crab. So you kind of need to guarantee a Scuttle Crab for your jungler early. And what happened there was FlyQuest, they didn't go for one on the top side, they went for the bottom side one, and they were spotted by the ward, which means Meteos guaranteed to go for that top side one. And basically, I've talked to a lot of junglers in pro. I think it's an overreaction, but they're like, if the enemy jungler gets both scuttles, man, it's GG. You might as well FF.
Yeah.
But it's just very, very valuable as a camp. And especially getting both of them early means it's a camp that you get to take away from the person and get more mid-priority, get more vision for your team. There's a lot that goes into those scuttles.
Nice for Nocturne as well. Little heal.
Yeah, it gives
nice.
you a lot of mana. If you do your clear and then you get the scuttle, it's like 30% of your maximum mana comes back early. Very big.
That's what I've always loved it for. You kind of think of the honey fruit out there, but you're also like, the scuttle. It's just basically keeping me on the rift. It's really nice. Ssumday giving Flame a little trouble here. You can see he has those minions to clean up in the discrepancy, though, so not doing too bad in CS. Is Flame staying in lane, just kind of crafting his Ruby Crystal and maybe some armor after this. Won't have to back further. Just shy of the terrain.
Doesn't matter, he still got smacked down.
It's the message that counts.
Got the Ornn clap. I love that animation. When you
Yeah.
brittle somebody and then you just clap them.
Take it away.
I love that. Also, something to note is Santorin, the O2 start for FlyQuest, a lot of that has been off of bad jungle starts and invades. So I want to go back to that level 1 and say it was even better that Flame got the ward off and it wasn't killed early because Santorin had a bad jungle start in both of his games and his laners got ganked and he was put behind or he was forced to go to the opposite side of the jungle and lose a top lane camp. So it's great that he now gets to start off on the right foot. And now we get to see what Santorin can really do because in both of his games he was playing from a deficit in the jungle early on.
Early damage on Santorin, does not decide to crowd control him in. He just wants the damage and out. So still trying to roam. They have an idea of where Santorin is. Gives Meteos a bit of an upper hand, but he's about to be seen as he comes over on this side, I believe.
Yep, it's fighting for that Scuttle Crab because the Scuttle is about to respawn. Santorin is doing the Raptors. Just trying to clear them out before that camp comes up. It might mean Meteos gets hit by himself, yeah.
Ooh. Winter's Bite almost locking down. Keen doing a great job of getting that shield in and also being the priority target. There's your call on the Scuttle Crab as they did see him coming out. I think FlyQuest pinged that as well and said, well, we'll go back down to bottom and grab ours.
Yeah, really good from Ryu to stand in the bush and let Santorin face check him. And
if it comes. Yeah.
Yep. Go ahead and pushes him out when he does his Raptors. And now that Scuttle Crab disparity is what I want to call it here. The camps are even with 4 CS difference.
That starts to change. See some of that gold. 2,000 for Flame. Not doing too shabby on the top side. Kind of.
Yeah, he's doing real well.
Yeah. Switched around 51 to 36, so that CS is definitely starting to fall away.
Yeah, there's a wave here to pick up, but Flame hit that level 6 first. Ssumday's about to hit 6, but did a really good job there of actually catching the cannon minion with the Blades of Torment, which he is maxing first here for wave clear. Toggling through the blood price, bloodthirst.
It's an interesting thing too on champions like this that you haven't played of knowing if you're on blood price or that your other ability. Yeah, bloodthirst. Thank you. It's kind of like, oh, I'm on the wrong one. I did the wrong attacks. You just switch out of a mode. You're hitting the wrong thing. So being very slow and methodical with Aatrox makes him way more powerful.
Yeah, it also matters which skin you're using, and I think it also matters which chroma you're using too, because like it's a difference in color, right?
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I definitely do more damage on pink Pike.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I mean, like, if you know which one you're on, right? Because if you're going visually,
this
like,
is true.
blood price is usually red and purple.
Yeah.
And now on different skins and different chromas, it's different colors, like orange and I think like green on this one. So it just goes back and forth. It's almost like what's that other example? Blue. People call it blue cane, but in his skin,
Rostin.
His skin, he's like green, and he's green instead of red cane, and yeah, he's red instead of blue. So.
Well, there you go. Now they hear you. I'm sure it'll be changed.
No,
right?
no, yes. But it's on people who call it Rostin Assassin as opposed to blue and red. That's my thought process behind it. But let people enjoy their colors, man.
Thank you for sharing. Meteos quickly clearing Raptors. Says not much on the map for me to do. Come out and deliver blue buff to Ryu. Pretty much the idea they have in line for now. FlyQuest has said slow warding on that bot side. Make sure we can keep some pink wards secured. Just small bits of vision allow us to either go aggressive or stay safe in lane so far.
It's just been the farm up here for both teams, but CS advantage top side.
Yeah.
FlyQuest for Flame, and then it's pretty much even across the board. That Scuttle difference is actually a mildly big deal here, but we'll see if something happens, because Meteos is a level up over Santorin, and you can see they're playing around these Scuttle Crabs.
Yep, and level 8 just hit, so those stopwatches are active, all three on the side of FlyQuest, if they want to go for it. Are they going to go for it? Absolutely not.
Look at that, 114 gold from the camp, yeah.
He's just been able to clean those up now, so map control, I'd say kind of lackadaisically given over by FlyQuest. If you'll find with the way the laning phase is going, or just not in position you can't contest, that's fine.
Yeah, just
think
100
Thieves isn't doing much to get this either.
Yeah, I mean, it comes down to your lane matchups and your priority. If the Aatrox TP's back and just has the Tiamat and the wave clear, he's going to be able to roam down faster than the Ornn. And when you secure your jungler 3 Scuttle Crabs over the other guy, he has over a kill's worth of gold. He has over a kill's worth of gold over his opponent in the jungle. And that's why it's so big, where if you get 2 of them early, and then you can help guarantee you're going to get the 3rd one, or help secure the 3rd one because of your extra gold advantage, you just keep getting more and more gold from it.
Do they stay bot? I think Santorin may want to try to get something out of this. He's deciding back and forth.
They're looking for Flame top. They're going to dive him when they get 3 people here, because he just ultied, so he's trying to clear the wave.
Gets the wave out immediately. Paranoia comes in. It looks like Ssumday's going to use that Bloodwell to get himself to safety. The 3v1 now as they bring the party to flame. He's still alive. And there's the kill going over the Ssumday. Very nicely done.
That's the first blood for the Aatrox in the top lane. They all come up. Everyone's in attendance here. They're going to start hitting this turret. There is a TP for Flame, but he's going to respawn in 15 seconds. I think this turret is actually going to die here before. Actually, they may not have the wave. It'll be really close.
Meteos giving himself a bit of an exit there.
Really close.
Have to leave just yet. One more.
Meteos has to take
like an extra 2 hits.
One. Oh, perfect, actually. Woo. Quick math.
Wow. Quick math indeed. 10 minutes on the clock. Let's see this replay one more time. Flame does his best.
Yeah, clears out the minion wave, but they don't care about the minion wave as the ultimate comes down from Ssumday, has the Bloodwell fully up, lets himself drop, and then it swaps to Meteos as they just CC, both with the ultimate and with the fear tether there from Meteos, back to back. So really wasn't anything Flame could do there. No shield could come up, anything like that. And they get out without having anybody drop. So the top side of the map, with the turret down and with Ssumday getting that first blood, he is ready to roll. And they also got the TP out of WildTurtle there. I believe he tried to use it to reinforce and then canceled.
And I was right, 8-minute big plays. Except Flame had to use his Xayahs defensively. Okay.
Yeah, but like that TP from WildTurtle, something that you can't appreciate as much is that from like the spectator perspective, he couldn't have done that earlier because Nocturne ulti. The Nocturne ulti is going to stop you from teleporting. True. You can't actually click on anything during that time and TP. And the Nocturne ultimate now lasts 6 seconds.
Waiting for a small engage into the mid lane. Kwon goes in, Santorin's there, and he just misses that leap shot to get into range. A nice turnaround from the culling from Cody Sun, and they slow things down as Meteos Scuttle Crab number 4 in the bank for him this game. As he goes for Rift Herald now. Holy moly, the control on this top side of the map has been intense for 100D.
Yeah, that was a yikes because Kwon didn't hit his ultimate before he W'd. He did it afterwards, so it would have caught Cody Sun if he had ultied and then gone for the EW. Granted, it does give you a little more time to react because you see the ultimate animation go off, but if you can hide it and go very quickly, then yeah, it should have been Cody Sun taking more damage or potentially even having Santorin get the ultimate onto him, but I think that's actually just a flub in execution there from Kwon, or potentially not having the mana. I think it was a flub in execution. But
nobody's got to help Flame yet. Rift Herald goes down. 40 seconds to be picking that up off the ground, and it was grabbed by Meteos before he died. It dies in his grasps. And now Ssumday and Ryu are going to head out of this one. It looks like they'll be safe as FlyQuest just head towards the top side of the jungle.
Yeah, gets Rift Herald. Oh, Keen, he might get ultied here.
Whoa! Dark Flight over the wall, and that's all she wrote for Keen. Thought he was in a safe pathing. Santorin was not there to help.
Yeah, and they didn't have the vision on the side of the mid lane, and so Keen walked back an unsafe way. They spot him the whole time, and Ssumday went into the bush. I thought that the ultimate actually from Oh, hold on.
Right in. A little battle entrance there. Ryu taking damage. The Quill hits. Kwon gets out healthy, and Ryu keeps himself alive, denying that kill. Good pressure.
And so, I actually thought this was a waste here early when I watched it the first time, because Meteos, he ultis right before he dies. Right? He picks it up, they kill him. But watch Ssumday, they ulti, and then they don't see Ssumday walk here to the right side, and they don't know where he is. He gets in the bush, comes out, and then it's like, wait, Keen, what are you doing? He clears the wave, and then he goes in. Yeah, 100%. They actually should have known that he was there when I see it the third time. So I thought, yeah, man, I thought I had covered him, but he showed himself mid, and then, yeah, that's just a big no-no from Keen.
It's also 100%. One of those plays for Keen where he says, they don't have the audacity to do this after that play. You have to respect your opponent. Ssumday towards the top side, feeling good at 1-0-1 with the Titanic finished. 104 CS as he goes to clean up a bit more. Just under flame.
Yeah, tried to defend him there. Turns out he was not actually respecting the Aatrox damage. Which, I mean, a lot of people, it was funny because I talked to a bunch of Aatrox mains and they're like, I hate it now because people actually kind of understand what to do against Aatrox ever since he got played more and more. And that was one of the big things is people didn't understand his damage output, how quickly he can burst you with a Q, E, and then having the R, and just all of that massive damage come out from the Massacre and the basic attacks. But he's very front-loaded, but then he bursts you at the start, and then he has this large peak of damage. You can see the Titanic Hydra completed first for Ssumday for wave clear, and here's the TP, they want to fight.
What's the pinch? They're inside. Getting knocked around is Ssumday. He goes down immediately, but he's resurrecting from Budwell. You're going to see Flame going down, and now WildTurtle falls along with Kwon. FlyQuest is just getting obliterated as the ace comes through.
They tried to kill Ssumday, who they stun locked, they knocked him up. He gets off his ultimate right before he drops. He would not have resurrected otherwise, and that is huge for him.
He literally bounced house. He was not able to do about anything until he hit the ground in the last second. Now another turret here for Shelly. Those changes still make it very powerful to reduce Rift Herald as the health goes down. Second turret in mid falls here. That's 3 very quickly for 100 Thieves. After top falls, they go right through mid.
That's 100 Thieves break the Camel's back. 8,000 gold advantage, 15 minutes in, and they were using Ssumday for the heavy lifting. He has 80% of his blood well here. And then he gets stun locked. They almost drop him. He's basically double-digit HP. Here.
Bounce.
There's the taunt, there's the knock-up, there's the airborne, into another knock-up. Then, right there, he barely gets it off because he will not resurrect unless he has the full stack. Comes back, goes into the back line. Now he's just absolutely decimating it. Whew. That was a hero play there.
So seeing why a lot of the top lane tanks are being taken out and Mundo and whatnot, but Aatrox has been finding himself on that ban list, and we really see why. You give him a little bit and instantly can turn around multiple fights after that.
And he just becomes so hard to deal with. You saw that's one of those moments where they're going, okay, we can burst him because he's not that tanky just yet, but he rushed the Titanic Hydra. They're able to blow him up, but he gets that last little bit. That was so crucial. That's your spam and R. You're hoping that you get out of it in time. That is a millisecond difference there in that fight where Ssumday lives or dies.
3-0-4. Full 100% kill participation for this guy, as well as Ryu at 2-0-5. So there is a lot of movement on this map from 100 Thieves.
And that's exactly what you want to see as a 100 Thieves fan, because Cody Sun did an astronomical amount of their percent of team's damage last split. And then when he was on the champions like Vladimir, and then he even played the Lucian before, but it was, where is the rest of the help? Because Lulu was what was played for Ryu. Now they have a lot of damage sources, and they're looking for, can these other guys step up? Ryu, Ssumday carry. It can't just be Cody Sun in the 40, 50-minute games anymore, because that doesn't happen. The long games are less and less likely, and 100 Thieves here are saying, let's get off to an early lead. Almost 10,000 at 17 minutes. We're still at that 8,000 mark, but they are very close to cresting over that 10K, and that's the sweet spot here on the patch.
And even in, we say kind of these bruiser comps that can roll over each fight, so the things that are really changing that time, but we see just about standard comps on either side, and 100 Thieves has a pretty good clip of making it into the base and what we're seeing as an average time currently in this meta. So everybody has their own way to do it. Some people can find a better way to do it traditionally still. 7-1. However, 100 Thieves now at 18 minutes on the clock. After a 0-2 start on the summer split, they're definitely making, looking to make an impact in week 2.
Yeah, because they made the finals, right? 100 Thieves made the finals, and I don't think the strategy or the way that they made the finals by relying on Cody Sun is viable right now and trying to funnel everything into the marksman in the bot lane. Maybe if you move him mid and have him play Xayah or something, it would work, but Xayah was banned away, and now they're having other people step up. So that's really what 100 Thieves need to start solidifying is flexibility. It can't just be Cody every single game being defended by his team, and now having these guys step up is huge, especially when you have some carry power in other lanes.
Santorin putting a $600 buy in there for a stopwatch himself to try and make some of these plays. FlyQuest knows they're going to be taking fights from 100 Thieves. Why not try and put a few in your favor with a few tricks in the bag? Bot lane is the pressure, as Ssumday can pretty much do what he wants across the map, creating that yo-yo aggression, then backing off. Here's the fight, though. Right onto WildTurtle. Tries to get himself to safety, but goes down almost immediately. And it's low health for 100 Thieves, but they're going to sort themselves out and find the way back into the fight. Kill for Santorin after he does get a good use out of that stopwatch. Meteos is looking for that final kill, though, as he hunts him down. A few turret shots through. Cody Sun going to go relentless pursuit. Over the wall, gets the AD adaptive shield and keeps himself alive. Flame now going to take some hits. The dark flight into the Bloodwell as we see Ssumday staying alive, and he'll be back again for another fight. Santorin just hiding in the wings now. Can he take down Meteos with a bit of help from the rest of his team? A teleport is coming in, Ssumday low, and it's going to look to be that last fight. Tries to deny vision with a sweeper, but they're going to get out safely as this fight is over.
Yeah, he was playing with fire there. Santorin uses that stopwatch. You know, a lot of stopwatches don't go to good use. Stopwatch keeps him alive during the ignite to save him, and then he gets the counter. We'll see right here.
Return on investment.
They get to dive right onto WildTurtle. Ryu ultis himself to buy some time here, but then watch this. The stun comes through. As soon as he's unstunned, Santorin hits the stopwatch. Ryu on the side, boom, right off the wall. Falcon kick to the face. Falcon knee from Santorin. And then Meteos has to walk under the turret. It was really good from Santorin to kill the minion waves because he takes some damage. But then the hook shot into the flash.
That always feels good. Quick kick to the throat. Didn't know it hit him. Gasping for air.
And when the opponent has knives for legs, a kick to the throat is very, very different than a normal kick to the throat.
11-4, and we're only hitting 20 minutes. We was just talking about the clock at 17 minutes-ish. And we saw a lot of movement from 100 Thieves. Well, they just put a shock and awe fight down on FlyQuest and now have a 9,000 gold lead with 4 turrets in their favor.
Yeah.
Heading towards the top side of the map, FlyQuest say we need some vision. We need to slow down this 100 Thieves snowball. And
I do want to temper what just happened because, sure, Santorin just popped off and got 2 kills when he was about to die, but I still believe 100 Thieves won that fight.
Oh, yeah.
They walked away with 2 people up versus 1. Don't need to be a mathematician to understand that they won that one and that they got to put pressure on the bottom turret. Now they're still up even more gold than they were before, and 100 Thieves are just pushing further and further. Santorin just stopped it from being a catastrophic event.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Save face at the end, turrets are up, but you are still very much under pressure. You see at the 10-minute mark just how much 100 Thieves started to capitalize on finding those plays. Ssumday and Ryu just going crazy.
Yeah, once they started to roam, I believe that's the roam to the top lane 10 minutes in where they get the turret. And then the next spike is those big fights that happened. Especially that one around the Drake. That one was huge because that looked like FlyQuest might be able to get back in it, but they weren't able to kill Ssumday, and that really did just break the game open.
Look at that. The damage Nocturne, Meteos definitely in his element. Playing champions like this, absolutely loving it.
Yeah, it has a stopwatch, so when he dives in, even though he's committed, he'll stopwatch and save himself. But Ssumday is the massive threat here. He's the one who I don't think you can actually answer in the side lane. Sure, if you're a tank, he's got Conqueror. You're going to get extra stats from that and just get through your armor. And he also has the Titanic for the wave clear. The Rage Blade, when it's stacked up, is massive for him too, because it means that every other attack is either healing him or doing bonus damage instead of the normal amount where it's every 3.
Turtle's gold here. Sitting on 1,400, still looking to complete that Infinity Edge. He's piecing together some core items. as you already have those two on Turtle. Or, I'm sorry, Cody Sun, rather. And you played the Rune King Black Cleaver for that culling damage. Bot lane, Ssumday, as we said, it's going to be hard to take him down right in the fog of war on the side of flame. Are you going to try anything? Because you're just going to let flame kind of activate towards the mid lane. Say, you walk into the jungle so we have you pinched. Yeah, just a little bit. They wait for Meteos. They won't even let him into the jungle, though. The fear comes down, call the Forge God. He's going to run all the way home, and he'll meet up with Flame on the fountain.
That little ram. Oh. Didn't even get a chance there, but that's all that damage coming through. The Conqueror, everything, the Rage Blade. When you get to just beat up on this tank, the Aatrox working out in spades. They were able to pick it. Third pick for 100 Thieves in that second round, and it's been massive for them. They got that first blood. Ssumday has been performing incredibly well today.
Aphromoo is like solo holding this top side of the jungle. We just saw him like flexing muscles in front of both Santorin and those guys trying to do Raptors. He is not moving for anybody, and right now the forward of the top lane push. 2 dragons in their favor. None are helping take this down, but they will help for any resulting fight that could ensue.
And there's just this massive difference in items now, especially when you're looking at the lanes in like the bot lane here. There's 2 items completed for Cody Sun, the Black Cleaver, the Blade of the Rune King, both which are actually very good on Lucian. Blade of the Rune King is rather cheap, but then you look at the other side, WildTurtle.
So rich, go buy.
2 BF swords into having the Zeal and hasn't been able to spend that money just yet.
That's true.
Sitting on 2,200 gold, and that's enough to actually, I believe, convert both over since he has a dagger on top.
That's the point in my stream when they're like, why haven't you bought yet, Rib? What are you doing? So you got to consider how much they have to deal with, what him going back, if there's vision for 100 Thieves, what kind of pressure that creates for him. Here, they feel like they have a bit of breathing room, and he'll finally get to go to the bank. Let's see what he puts in his inventory. Rapid fire to the infinity.
And that was pretty much exactly what he had in terms of gold. Goes down to like 17 gold after spending. So just needed that tiny bit more. He gets to purchase both. So that's a huge spike. It's not just one item coming through. It's 2 massive items for the Xayah.
So really, he's just being frugal. He wasn't sitting on any money.
But it means he was less powerful if a fight did happen or was engaged. They have some engaged power when you're looking at something like a Nocturne or a Lissandra, but he's kind of weathered the storm there. He's made it to these 2 items. You really do turn online completely when you're at 3 items for the Xayah. But the question is, will he be able to make it there? Because WildTurtle, there's been pressure across all the lanes. Santorin's really the only one who has a positive scoreline on the team. They're collapsing in the top lane because the Aatrox is just destroying the Ornn. And then in the mid lane, it's rather, I would say it's closer to even, but there's just been so many fights that Ryu has been a part of and he's been successful in getting the right target locked down. And it hasn't made that much of a difference here for King.
Oh boy.
In the back line.
Nearsighted. Quickness goes down as we see Kwon try to lock up the team. Now Ryu's into the back line, and there goes the help as a FlyQuest, absolutely obliterating the rest of FlyQuest team. Keen and the rest are able to pick up 1 as you see Ryu go down. Meteos falls slowly, but that does not mean they can't grab Baron with Ssumday and Cody Sun. Yeah,
they lost 2 for 4 there. It's a 2-for-1 deal today, boys.
Absolute dog pile.
Yeah, speaking of the dog pile. Perfect.
Down in the corner.
Yeah, they have the Aatrox, which can easily tank this with deal damage. Cody Sun on top of it with the lifesteal. So even though they don't have a jungler, they know they don't have to fear any smite steal.
It feels so good for Lissandra too, because usually nobody actually stays on your full ultimate. When you use it on yourself, it's kind of a saving thing, but man, did they hit it good here.
Yeah. Kwon, ease, taunts across.
Quickness.
And then the W isn't really in the back line there. It was in the bush. Not sure what it looked like, but he's not able to kind of stop them from rolling over the team. And like you said, that dog pile, these fights are so hard to understand what's going on in them because it's just these big circles, these big threats just jumping in. And with the Nocturne ultimate on top of it, they can't really see how Ryu is approaching the fight.
They see less than we see.
And that's scary. That's scary to think about.
Kind of hard to multitask when things are just popping out of the woodwork. 28 minutes. Inhibitor instantly drops. 0 breaks here for 100 Thieves, and FlyQuest thinking, where can we attack? What can we do? It won't be on that inhibitor, and it might be on the top side. Second tier may be a little too hard to defend. We'll see Ssumday dropping that as the rest of 100 Thieves routes their way through the jungle.
Yep. Make their way to the top side. 100 Thieves, remember their macro game last split, whenever they were ahead, was actually quite good. Their Baron baits, the way that they would play the map and rotate between, that's how they made it.
GAs on GAs, too.
Yeah, they were the team that finished first in the regular season last split. They made it all the way to the finals. They got second. Right now, they start off on a bad foot, but see if they actually go for the engage. Meteos gonna go? Looks like no.
Nice block. Aphromoo feels comfortable about that one. The team has good defense to keep going for damage on this inhibitor. Ssumday cresting the top side, has a bit of the backline in his eyes, but they have Flame. They might go down, flashes towards the top to try and separate himself. Goes down immediately, but they also drop Ryu. It's a good bit of damage, but at this point, I think it's all for naught. FlyQuest go for broke, and 100 Thieves are happy to oblige. Keen doing a good bit of damage here as he puts down the ultimate, but cannot take anybody down in the end. Cody Sun standing toe-to-toe, getting his GA to go down as the team can focus on the important things. The Nexus and the Nexus turrets. Keen still at 100 HP, or sorry, 100% HP, watches the Nexus go down as 100 Thieves pick up the win.
100 Thieves pick up the first win of the split for them. Happened in week 2, but they got to be happy about that. They stopped their slide. They stopped the loss streak that could have started for them, and they make it so that FlyQuest are now on an 0-3 start themselves. But that looked like, if you're a fan of 100 Thieves, it's exactly what you want to see. Ssumday able to carry a game, Ryu able to pivot, and they played to the top side of the map, and they didn't have to play around Cody Sun in this game.
Good strength all around. As you said, Ryu, Ssumday, and Cody Sun as well. They almost didn't try to bring too much to him, knowing that once that top side was going, they weren't saying, we need to get more going. Let's flow with this, because at one point, he was a few levels down, and they were just saying, farm it up, do what you got to do to get those items, and we saw him doing that for a while. Same with WildTurtle. He actually had a hard time getting his items under control, and even more levels down, being kind of let go in that bot lane.
Yeah, I think it's all kind of this thing that snowballs together where 100 Thieves got the top Scuttle Crab twice in a row. They were able to get some Scuttle Crabs away from
every
Santorin.
Scuttle Crab in the game except for the first one on both sides. It's crazy.
And a lot of that was, Keen didn't have the lane priority or the pressure, and Santorin got chunked out once, had to give it up. Then it's like Meteos gets more pressure because he's level 6 first, gets to go to the top side and force Santorin away from that. And the Nocturne is very powerful. It's why we're seeing it banned away, because there's more teleports in the game now with marksmen or bot laners taking them. So 6 seconds of not being able to TP in a fight, it basically isolates a target better than almost any ability in the game, right? We even have things like the Camille Hextech Ultimatum, but it's still not the same level of isolation as having the Nocturne ultimate in the lane phase on somebody.
I think even the fight we saw where was the dog pile with that Nocturne out, we find it kind of hard to see everything that's happening in the middle of a 5-man fight, right? There's how many, more than 15 spells going off possibly at the same time with some cooldowns, people jumping all over. What do they see, right? A few more, nothing. A few more members coming out. So the Nocturne definitely coming up huge here. Obviously, Meteos looking a lot more comfortable on it, and 100 Thieves seeing the flow with more of that kind of traditional back in their hands. Yeah. Traditional composition, I should say.
Yeah, traditional composition with Cody Sun on a marksman, but they didn't have to play and funnel towards him like the Kog'Maws that he had before. Instead, Ssumday was kind of the star of this game. They played to his lane, and it paid off in spades.
Absolutely. So to hear more about how his team netted their first win, let's sound to Avli and the 100 Thieves support.
Thanks, guys. Aphromoo, congratulations on picking up the first win of the split for 100 Thieves. And it was a pretty dominating victory in that. So what was today's winning factor?
I think everyone, after the 0-2 start that we had, definitely changed gears and mindset. So we definitely came in to dominate.
So with that 0-2 start, you guys were looking a little bit lost with the new meta. How were you guys able to regroup and come in today swinging?
The new meta is actually really fun. All the funnel strategies, mages being played bottom. I call them wizards. But for us, it takes a lot of talking. And since we definitely had some trouble with that in the past, we definitely have to come in with a new meta. Just keep trying things over and over and over. And especially on stage, games can go either way with the new meta, where there's a lot of different factors and stuff like that, but happy with the win today.
What's your personal opinion on the meta and the wizards? Do you like it or do you not like it?
I enjoy it. That's only because I've played the game for like 7 years, so all the new champions that are being able to be played is just super fun. So I think one of my favorite ones is watching Heimerdinger. They run that in like EU LCS a lot, is really exciting to watch.
Well, congratulations again on your victory. And for more on the game, let's hear from the desk.
Thank you very much, Avli. In the battle between winless teams, 100 Thieves comes out on top, moving to 1 and 2. We talk about the craziness of the meta, and yet both teams opting into the traditional bot lanes. Interestingly enough, though, Lissandra picked up in the mid lane. So I want to talk a little bit about the rest of the map in the context of the draft.
I mean, it makes some sense because the enemy team does have some tools to dive in there, like the Rakan and the Camille, and you can make yourself immune to that, as well as the fact that you will combo it together very well with the Nocturne. So it does work. It is just a little surprising to see a blinded in the mid lane. It's not super meta champion. We saw like once in LCK, I believe. So still a bit of a surprise pick.
Yeah, and I think what really ended up tying it together for 100 Thieves is getting Ssumday on the Aatrox, because he had such a huge game and was a big carry threat. So they didn't have to wait 35 minutes for Marksman to scale up, even though Lucian has a much faster power spike. But really, Ssumday popped out this game.
They're talking about a mid-game power spike, Drake.
And this fight was crazy. They already had about a 2,000 or 3,000 gold lead, so you didn't expect FlyQuest to actually try and contest this, but they do. And then they know Ssumday's going to be strong, so they try and do everything they possibly can to kill him.
And they get close.
Yeah, but the last possible second, you see that sword raise.
Yeah, so his passive isn't full up yet, so he wouldn't revive, but he gets the max blood roll right at the last second. That gives him enough so he can resurrect. And then after FlyQuest has used all their cooldowns just to allow him to revive, he comes back at full health, kills them all, and that's that. You see that big gold spike? That was that.
That's where that happened. Yeah. And the big damage graph there for the Aatrox as well. I mean, it was very much a standout game for Ssumday. But beyond that, in that fight alone, right, we saw for FlyQuest still some of the struggles when it comes to Flames, not getting his ultimate off, things like that. So when it comes to the execution, still not quite there.
Yeah, and this was a tough game for them. They played standard, right? And we were talking at the top of this game about maybe they should branch out, keep trying these different things, and they go for this. And like you're playing up against the runner-ups to the spring split finals.
Yep.
You were an 8th place team last split, not like you made monster upgrades around. It just feels a little weird to go toe-to-toe standard game against them. I wouldn't have minded seeing them look for more counter picks and not take a losing matchup in the top side and a scaling matchup in the bot lane and those kinds of things.
Now, returning to the interview that Avli had with Aphromoo, he mentioned that week 1 was kind of the kick in the ass that they needed, that 0-2, to get back into practice and really start working through the meta and trying to find what works for them. Jap, my question to you is, did they find it? Is Ssumday the person that they should actually be looking towards more so than, let's say, putting Cody Sun on one of those crazy picks?
I think it's a dynamic they need to develop, but it's not something you can rely on every game just because of how counterpick dependent the top lane can be, and the fact that Aatrox is getting reworked really soon. Yeah, we don't know how soon that's going to be. But his Aatrox is amazing. Like when I see him play that in solo queue and I'm spectating high elo, he crushes on that as well. So it's a perfect pick for him to try and go off. That damage percentage is 40.2% for Ssumday, is higher than any individual game he had in spring. So this was his most damaging game in relation to his teammates of the year. And that's more of what you expect to get from Ssumday when you sign the player who was known as one of, if not the best top laner in Korea before he comes over to North America. And it's a player who's mostly been absent ever since coming to the NALCS.
I mean, that said, of course, on the bot side of the map, Cody Sun getting that Lucian, so returning to those marksmen that we kind of asked of 100 Thieves in the pregame.
Yeah, I mean, Aatrox is the new pick, but this style of comp is very similar to what you would expect to see from most of these players. Pretty comfort all around. Still very much a team that wants to find some early plays, and they did that this game.
All right, well, there you have it. After the commercial break, Golden Guardians and Cloud9 man their battle stations for our final game of the day. See who comes out on top when we return.